Welcome to the Kelly Sullivan Walden Show, where we explore nighttime dreams, daytime desires, and the best ways to transform the tragic into magic. Because let's face it, we all dream, we all have our blessings, and we all have our challenges, myself included. And I don't want any of us to take any of those things lying down, if you know what I mean. I just wrote a book entitled A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste. I'm excited to explore the topic with you, whether it relates to your waking or sleeping dreams, because we're dreaming all the time, people. So let's make it the best dream possible. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. I am so excited to host my friend and mentor and just a spiritual ally, Mr. Derek Rydall. Let me tell you a little bit about this dude. If you're watching, you can already see him. If you're listening, though, let me just tell you a little bit about him. He's part of a new generation of spiritual visionaries and thought leaders. Derek Rydall is the #1 best-selling author of Emergence, 7 Steps for Radical Life Change, which reveals the revolutionary principle, the Law of Emergence, showing people how to tap into the pattern of perfection in any area of their life and create the right conditions for it to unfold. And he's the author of The Abundance Project, 40 Days to More Wealth, Health, Love, and Happiness, where he lays out a time-tested system for activating the abundance principle, which sets you free from belief that outer conditions determine your life and shows you how to generate everything you need to know, no matter what conditions you face, to be able to have that abundance and have that emergence. So without further ado, Derek Rydall, I'm having an out-of-body experience that I'm trying to get back in my body because this is it's so special to get to be at this moment. I've known you for so many decades over different incarnations, but it's really special to be with you today. So thank you.
Thank you
For joining me. And before we started, I asked if you would be willing to lead us in a little centering prayer. So
now, normally my prayers can be very long, so I'll try to
we'll
I'll
do
keep
a
it short.
truncated, an acorn version.
Yes. So we just take a moment and take a breath and breathe into the back of your heart and exhale the residue of the past. Just feel it unplug and release, even the past moment, wherever you came from, whatever happened before. And then breathing into the front of the heart, we release any concern for the future, allowing our chest to relax, our abdomen to relax, letting go of future, letting go of the past, which is just a memory, letting go of the future, which is just a fantasy. And then one more breath into the front and the back of the heart, as we just exhale and release even the present moment, the present conditions, our present story, which is mostly imagination. It is memory plus fantasy, creating a present storyline. We let that go too now. Past, present, and future are the tenses of time. But we are so much more than this time, this story. We step out of the simulation of our mind, the storyline, and we rest in this eternal now. Now, here I am. infinite, unconditional life, infinite potential, not a potential or a life based on past or memory, not a potential or a life based on future fantasy, and not even based on the limits of our imagination, but the infinite, inexhaustible potential of our being is now available to us. And it is from here that we live, not on our way to anything, but coming from the everything that we really are, whole and complete now. And from this place now, whatever needs to be said or heard, released or embraced, for each individual listening to take a quantum leap to the next level of their life, it's happening. It's happening now. And I just give thanks for this. And I lovingly allow it to be. And so it is.
Mm. And so it is. All right, we're done.
You
See ya.
can go home now. Bye.
Bye bye. Where do we go from there? That was pure heaven. Thank you, Derek. And I am, I feel like I'm having such a like a life review, going back in time to my early days at Agape, and you and
Yes.
Elizabeth were such an important part of that foundation for me. I mean, Agape itself, for people who don't know, Agape Spiritual Center, that is one of the head ministers, Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith.
Yeah.
But you and Elizabeth were like the anchors and the pillars of that time for me, which was so important and really is such a, I think it really informs a lot of the work that I do. And I think a lot of the work that you do, I mean, you've taken on your own, like kind of taken those fundamental principles and you've made it your own. And it's just so special to be with you and just to know that those principles, they don't die out. They just get
No.
stronger over time. So I've been so
Especially if you
enjoying.
practice them. But yeah, but just
Yeah.
you're just making me remember
Yeah.
all those times like meeting. Didn't we meet in our living room and
Yes.
vision and like, yeah, those are
Yeah.
like the seed, you can just see the seeds of so much. It's really powerful to think about from that, the humble seeds and beginnings of just coming together to share certain values and a vision for the world and for ourselves and the possibility and the potential. And yeah, and some seeds grow fast and some seeds take a lifetime to grow.
Right. Oh, that's so true. So you let's just talk a little bit about this notion of emergence
Mhm.
and how this is in some way it feels like it's the 2.0 of the law of attraction, the law of emergence.
Mhm.
um but it feels so much better in my body, I just have to say, than that like striving energy of, oh, if I can just meditate right, if I could just practice the singing and visualization, which is all good and fine. But talk about the law of emergence and how that's different from the law of attraction.
Yeah, well, briefly, I like so many people, and even maybe during that, no, actually, it was before the agape time. Um, I was on a journey of self-improvement and trying to heal my childhood and all of that, like so many of us are, or so many of us did. And rather than it improving me or fixing me, it increased my sense of frustration and stress and struggle. And whether I was trying to achieve or attract or manifest or fix or heal. And I don't think I knew you then, but it drove me ultimately to get addicted to drugs and alcohol. I think I talk about this in the book, to
Mm-hmm.
almost die of an overdose. And then I redoubled my efforts and figured I needed to try harder, work smarter, And then I was doing a movie and I almost drowned. And I had another near death experience in that. And I do talk about that in Emergence. And in the moment where I knew I wasn't going to make it, I didn't think I might not or might. I actually believed this was it. And I had a moment of true surrender, like not a negotiating, please God, if you get me out of this, I'll go to church on Sunday. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't go to church then. It was just like surrender. And there was a flash and something cracked open, and I saw that the self I'd been trying to fix, achieve, improve, etc., was a fiction of my imagination. It was an amalgamation of parental fantasies and peer pressure and societal conditioning, and that nothing I would ever do would make him enough. But at the same time, I saw that there was a self that had never been hurt or damaged, so he didn't need to be fixed. And he was already whole and complete, so he could not be improved upon. Now, this is all description now. In the moment, it was a spiritual vision that didn't have any of these. It was just like, it was just like one of those moments. I just saw it. I saw the error of my ways and of this whole way of improvement, and I saw the truth in a flash. And I was stuck in this coral reef, and in the next moment, I was freed from it. And I went on to become a monk shortly and pull out of society and all that. But eventually the monk life didn't work out. It's a long story. But I stole, anyways, fasting and started, being silent, and got so hungry and freaked out. I stole food out of the monk's refrigerator and got really sick. It was really crazy. But I ended up, cloistering myself in my apartment. And that's when I had this realization that just as the oak tree is in the acorn, or the apple tree is in the apple seed, the same thing is true, that the whole pattern of our life is in us. It's in the seed that's planted in the soil of our soul. And the acorn, or any seed, doesn't attract the tree to it. The acorn doesn't attract an oak to it, right? Nor does it, and this is really important, nor does it improve itself into an oak. An acorn isn't an inadequate oak tree. It has to improve itself into oakhood, right? It's a perfect seed. And when it becomes a little sapling, it's not an inadequate oak tree then either. It's a perfect sapling. It never, ever improves itself. Nature does not improve itself into what's in the seed. And so it doesn't attract it, it doesn't improve it, and it doesn't achieve it either, because achievement is another form of, I'm lacking something, I have to work hard to get it, right? So get it, fix it, heal it, improve it, attract it. The whole, from Protestant work ethic to New Age metaphysics, that kind of encapsulates most of that. But in fact, none of that is applicable to nature. What it actually does is it plants itself, and when the conditions become congruent with the pattern already in the seed, what's already there emerges. Now, we can understand this also from just a technical standpoint, and I use this analogy in the book, a radio. So for you young kids out there, radio are these things we used to do. Right?
What's a radio?
What's a radio, Mom? Radios are these little things with dials and buttons and cathode tubes. No, I'm just kidding. So a radio. How old are we getting, Kelly? Don't tell me.
Let me tell you.
Oh, good.
Had to walk to school in the rain and the snow.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so your favorite music is playing right here, right now, but it's not manifest. You're not experiencing it. But if you tune your radio to the station or the frequency where that music is playing, that station becomes manifest. You have sound, right? Now, where was that song before you tuned into it? It was right here. It wasn't in the future. It wasn't down the street. You didn't attract it. You didn't make it happen. You made it welcome. You became a match for what is already happening. Your frequency was the same frequency as the frequency of that station, and therefore you had a manifestation. A manifestation. That I'm done here all weekend.
Bum. So we're going to tip your waitresses. Right.
That's right. So it manifested. So the key is you cannot manifest anything that doesn't already exist. that the music is already playing. Now, Jesus also taught this. They're like, Master, when's heaven going to come? And he's like, it will not come over here or over there. It will not be through observation, for behold, it is already here. You just can't see it. He said, having eyes, you can't see it. Having ears, you can't hear it. And so he was teaching a new way of sensing, of soul sensing, and of coming into alignment with reality. But we were too indoctrinated into judging by appearances, and he taught to judge righteous judgment. Now, Buddha did the same thing. All the great masters did. None of them were saying there's a problem, that something's broken, you need to fix it. They were all saying reality is perfect, it's already here, but you are hypnotized, you're asleep, you're deluded, you're focusing on the forms of things, and you're missing the reality of things. And so that all kind of boils down to a more modern way to put that teaching forward, which is your life, your destiny, your fulfillment, your potential, the fulfillment of that seed of your purpose, whatever, it's already happening. It's already here. And the symphony of your success, the rhythm of your joy, the beat of your abundance, it's playing right now. But we have to tune into it. We have to become in integrity with it, and be more interested in that than we are in the old habit of manipulating, controlling, managing, forcing, and even attracting. So that's in a nutshell, or an acorn shell, that's the law of emergence.
That's so good. And it's just as a little synchronicity, I am surrounded by oaks.
Mhm.
I'm looking out my window and all I see are oaks, and there's some pine out there, but and I love the notion that an oak tree isn't trying to become a pine tree. It's trying to become itself. I mean, this is all of this is exactly what I need to hear every day, because it's as if the indoctrination of the world is exactly the opposite. And I think this is
Correct.
consumer culture. It's kind of the hypnosis of this world, is to be something inherently different than you are. And I remember, and I might have even been you, Derek, because I remember being on your living room floor, sitting on a pillow, hearing those words, there's a part of you that has never been hurt, harmed, or endangered. And I know Reverend Michael gets some
Yeah,
credit
that's
for that.
probably that I mean, I probably really, Reverend Michael, really, that's really a big part of
Sure,
it.
but I know that it was through you the first time I heard that, and it
Got it.
literally was like, are what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And still, even to this day, I think about that, and it is such a like a mind twister in the best way, because it's as if, I mean, at least at that moment in time, I had related to myself like I was the sum total of my brokenness,
Yes.
all of my internal and external disappointments, all of those things that didn't go the way I thought, broken, 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 broken. And my new book is all about these broken things that actually cracked me open to
They broke you
something
open. Yeah.
much better, that helped me emerge. But hearing that thought that there was some part of me that wasn't touched by any of these things,
Yeah.
like that's revolutionary. That
It
little
is.
speck, and maybe that little speck is actually not such a speck after
No,
all.
it's not a speck after all. It
Right.
is the whole enchilada. You know,
Right.
we
It's
can
the
say,
reverse. No, no, no,
yeah,
it's the
it
reverse.
is the reverse. It is exactly the reverse. And that's again also why certain ancient teachers like Jesus said, my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your thoughts mine. This stuff is foolishness unto man. Meaning that spiritual reality, or just reality, it's not just kind of different, it's exactly the opposite. And that is because I mean, there's a lot we could talk about, and we probably would need a lot more time to understand why that's the case, and that even that's not a problem. But basically, we were indoctrinated into identifying as a form, as a body, as an ego, with separation and all of that, because that was the journey of embodying life in biology and in experience. But then along the way, we became overly identified with form and we lost connection to life itself. So we got more identified with life forms, less with life. And there's a whole masculine, feminine principle, because the feminine really is the pure life force, and the masculine is the form and the structure and the function. And we become overly focused on, the getting and the creating and the holding on to and the managing forms and functions and all that in order. And we've lost touch with the spark, with life itself. And we need to learn that in order to keep growing and evolving and bringing forth the best of us and the best of the world, we actually have to not focus on saving the world or even saving ourselves, but on serving what's emerging, on living more from insight than eyesight. It's the Jedi way, we have to learn that what's inside of us is always infinitely more and infinitely better and infinitely more powerful than whatever is outside of us. I think it was Michael that said, stop telling your little God about your big problems and start telling those little problems about your big God. And when you're facing something, don't worry, because what it's facing is way bigger and more powerful, and that's you. So what's in us, the potential in us, is always infinitely more than the problem we face. And instead of being problem solvers, which is what we've identified with, we have to be vision holders. We have to realize that you can never solve a problem, because all a problem is an emblem. It's a symbol of a state of consciousness. Like ice exists at below 32 degrees. But no matter what you do to solve, fix, heal the ice problem, as long as you're below 32 degrees, you're going to have ice and the problem of ice. So you have to go to a higher frequency. In other words, problems aren't solved, they dissolve as you evolve. And you evolve by focusing on what's emerging, what's the truth, what's now, like in that opening meditation. And what am I really made of and made for, right? And also, like in that opening meditation, you remember I talked about the past is just a memory and the future is just a fantasy. That's not woo-woo. That's self-evident. When you stop and slow it down, you'll see that you've never had a past. All of your past has ever, and I mean ever, only been a memory. Because the moment it becomes your past, the only substance of it is the memory that you hold. You can never touch past. And likewise, you've never had a future and you never will. It's always a fantasy. But we're so asleep in the matrix of our mind that it feels so real. I really have a past. I really have a future, right? But it's really just the content of your mind. And when you understand that, it's just a story that is looping. And then when you understand that, the purpose of the memory is get the lesson or the blessing, but that's it. It's not there to punish you and torture you and make you feel bad. And it's not even there to articulate your identity. It's just there to help you wake up to more of the gift of that experience. But it has no power. There's zero power in the past. There's zero power in a memory. Just like when a boat's going along and it leaves a wake behind it, the wake is not driving the boat. Right? So our memory and our past can never drive our present or our future. And it can never create who we are. It's just the trailing effect of what we've discovered and what we've expressed so far. So in terms of that thing about how, but that is what even psychology has been a lot around, that you are the sum total of, you're even some of the most wise and intelligent academics, and experts and people out there still talk about how we're made up of all of our experiences. But we are literally not made up of any of our experiences.
Mm.
Our character is the character of the part we're playing in this divine drama is made up of a lot of those experiences, but that's not who I am. I'm the actor. I'm not the character. I'm putting on the costume and the clothing of that part. But I am never, if I go play the part of, whoever,
Hamlet.
Hamlet, I was literally going to say that, Hamlet, right? If I play the part of Hamlet, at best, I can illuminate it with what's in me, but the part itself doesn't. The only way it changes me is if it activates more of my real potential. But I don't walk away from that having all my family die and tragedy, and now the rest of Derek's life is ruined because of that. No, I got to experience and express a certain dimension of humanity, but it has not in any way diminished me, nor can it. And that's the same thing with our journey. But here's another interesting and maybe a little more difficult thing to embrace. We are not the product of our past or our problems or our betrayals and losses, but neither are we the product of our achievements.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, wait
Just
a
kidding.
minute, buddy.
Wait a minute, buddy. Oh, time's up. Gotta go. Say more.
That's our time.
That's our time. Check, please. Okay.
Yeah. So so what that means is that nothing can be taken from us. We've never been hurt, harmed, or damaged, but nor can anything add to us. As again, it says, I like to quote the scripture for some reason. I guess
yes, you are.
Who by taking thought can add 1 cubit to his stature? And also what God has wrought, no man can put asunder. So it's saying what God or life, whatever, if you guys don't like the word God, that's fine, because that's not God's name anyways. But if you, the nature of infinite isness, what it is being as life, what it has created as you, nothing can ever diminish that, because there isn't a power outside of that. But neither can any of your thinking and your crazy doings improve upon it. Right? So, and this is also why Buddha taught to release craving and aversion, which is this incessant desire to get more, or if I just get enough of this, then, or if I just get rid of this, then. And it's this constant get or get rid of, get or get rid of, get or get rid of. And if I just get or get rid of enough, I'll finally be enough and be free and can just be myself. That whole treadmill is the structure of the ego and of the false self. And underneath it, once you release that, that's called the wheel of karma, right? And once you get off that wheel, you have no more judgment, because there is no good or bad, right or wrong, should or shouldn't, better or best. There's just is. What happens is then what is, which is a perfect self, a perfect life, a perfect reality, is able to emerge. Now, that doesn't happen all at once necessarily. It's a progressive journey. We don't have to be enlightened to emerge, but progressively we're letting go a little bit of a judgment, a little bit of an opinion every day. We're letting go of a little bit of pushing, a little bit of pulling every day. We're learning to rest more and more back into the soil of our soul. And remember, we're not on our way to wholeness or to heaven. We're coming from it. We are an emergent of it. We are the ray of the sun, the branch of the tree, the wave of the ocean. The wave is not on its way to the ocean. The ray is not on its way to the sun. The branch is not on its way to the tree. Everything comes from home base. We are home already, and we are coming from that state of home, from that state of whole, from that state of having. And that's the starting point. And that's the foundation of the emergence principle and practice. Basically,
reason.
where are you coming from, girl?
Yo, homie,
Where you coming from? I'm coming from wholeness. Where are you coming from?
Wholeness, duh. Oh, this is so good. There's a reason this is a true best-selling book, and your other book, The Abundance Project, as well. And just in the few minutes that we have, I mean, God, we could talk forever. And I want us to on a parallel plane. We're going on and on. But I want to, this is something that's kind of a personal thing that I'm grappling with, and maybe you can shine a little light. And just in you talking, I feel like I'm getting some wisdom already. But so I know for me, I had this aha yesterday that my worries and my stress, 90, maybe 99, maybe 100% of any stress or anxiety I have, I could put it all under the heading of my ego that thinks I'm supposed to be an acorn that's growing a little bit faster. I should be more palm tree esque, or
Right.
why is, like more faster, hurry, all of those things. And in particular, a lot of people who know me know that this has been a recurring Groundhog's Day thing for me, that there's often a television show production company that comes to me and they say, "Hey, we want to make a television show with you about dreams." And I
Mhm.
say, "Great." And I suit up, show up, do the pilot, do the thing, do the dog and pony show, pitch,
Right.
everything's great, great, great. And then ultimately, no green light. And so it's like, okay, I did my best. I put it out there. If it's meant to be in the perfect conditions, I do my best as the farmer of my, or as the
Yeah.
gardener of my soul
Gardener or
to do
whatever. Yeah.
right. But I don't control all the elements, so I keep doing my best. So I'm here again, working with another production company, with another network, with a whole other thing. And I'm here, I was supposed to hear something by the end of February. That was 2 days ago, and I didn't hear anything. So
Mhm.
all the people on my team were like, "Did you call him? Did you call? Did you call? Did you text? Did you?" And I was like, my instinct is to not call, because if
Yeah.
it's time, they'll call me. Like, they know how to find me. Me calling isn't gonna turn something from not happening to happening.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, well, there is something about people knowing that I'm engaged. I'm so what is the best way to manage that ego? Do we like put me in, coach? I'm ready to play. Let them know, but not be too spastic and ego oriented. So how do you deal with this? And I know a lot of people are listening because they're like in their own version of Groundhog's
Sure.
Day, where they're in something that they're stuck at, but they haven't gotten that cigar, even though we don't want cigars. The
Yeah. She, I'm
whatever.
gonna make you a star,
I'll
kid.
make you a star, baby. So, what can we do different? What's
Yeah.
what's the thing?
Well, it's a great question, and so this will be another hour we have to talk now. But it's a great question. You should have started there, Kelly. I'm sorry,
I know,
but
sorry,
no,
shit.
no, it's really
Oops.
great. But and there's a couple ways I'll answer it. One is I think you might be a lost cause, but we're going to try anyway. So
Just call it a day.
Um, but no, I think first of all, it's very obvious, it's very normal, and to have all those desires, and and the desire for more, and the desire for things. Desire comes from the root of the sire, which
Desire.
means of the father or of the creative principle.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's a sign not of what's outside of you that you need to get, but of what's inside of you trying to get out. It means you're pregnant. It means the baby's kicking. It means more of you is trying to emerge. So that's a beautiful thing. But when the baby's kicking, we don't go, "Oh my God, I got to go find somebody and get pregnant. Oh my God, I got to go find somebody to give me a baby." You go within and you nurture the child. You keep nurturing the child. You might also set up the environment to make it welcome for the child. And so actions happen, but you certainly don't start running around. "I got to get a baby. How do I get a baby? How do I make this baby happen? Can somebody make this baby happen?" Because then what's going to happen is a couple of nice gentlemen with really good upper body strength and white jackets are going to take you away. And so, and then
What's
you
this
lose,
vest? Why can't I move my arms?
right? And then you lose your baby altogether. So that's an important thing. So there's nothing wrong with the desires that we have and all of that. It's just an understanding of the process. And there's nothing wrong with doing work and working hard. It's a matter, again, of where you coming from. Are we coming from a place of, and we have to be honest with ourselves. So you can't always judge by the outer appearance. You have to ultimately judge by your own internal life, which is, am I coming from a place of it's not happening, I don't have, what if not, what if, I'm afraid, anxiety, whatever. And now if I just do that or say it this way, or if I just do more of this, or if I just don't, and sometimes it looks like something's trying to emerge and it's saying take action to give vent to it. And for some people, they don't do anything. So sometimes it could be what emergence looks like is don't just sit there, do something. But other times it's don't just do something, sit there. And it really depends on your design, on your patterns. You know that, and kind of where you are, right? So, Jesus is running around giving sermons on the Mount all the time. Buddha's running around giving Dharma talks. They weren't just sitting around waiting. But it was not, they also weren't coming from that place of like trying to make it happen or fear or a sense of lack. They were so pregnant. If I can imagine what they are, I'm just talk based on my insight. They're so full to overflow. The only thing life is full. And so the only thing life can do is pour forth more of its fullness, shine, share, circulate, create. Life is not a consumer, life is a creator. And you mentioned that earlier. We have to move from consumer to creator. But it's not a creating to get anything. It's a the rose doesn't break out of its bud and blossom to get anything. It breaks out because it cannot contain itself anymore. And so life is not bursting everywhere. If I just shine and flower and flourish, maybe then I'll get what I need. No, that is the getting of what it needs, the flourishing, the flowering. So we have to go back to all that is in my responsibility is to fully love the seed of my soul and nurture it and give it everything it needs to flower, and then to flower without shame or apology, to shine and flourish and sing my song and share my message and just pour my light and my love and my truth and my beauty and my creativity everywhere I am compelled and inspired. Those seeds everywhere. And then what flowers and unfolds from that, it will sometimes look like it's coming from the world, like it's coming from other people. But you're not really in the world is in you. And everybody and everything are channels of your field of consciousness. So it'll look like opportunity, and obviously you're getting the opportunities. And when it's ripe and it's ready, that opportunity won't just remain a seed. It will break open and it will flower. And your inspiration and joy to play could lead you to, hey, Bob, just wanted to check in, and I'm so excited about the project. I have all these new ideas I wanted to share. And if it's legitimate, you're not trying to, trick or play a little manipulation game, come up with a bunch of good reasons to call just because what you really are is freaking out. It's like you just want to play, right?
Right.
So it depends on where it's coming from. But I wanted to say one other thing about this. From the spiritual or mystical perspective, what we have to remember is that the only thing all 7 billion of us, however many there are now, the only thing any human being is ever going for is a feeling. That's it. The only thing any human being is ever trying to avoid is a feeling. So we're trying to get a certain feeling and we're trying to not have a certain. So the ultimate feeling we're trying to have is a feeling of complete oneness and fulfillment with existence. And the only feeling we're trying to avoid is a sense of being separate from existence and from life. Now, those break down into love, peace, joy, beauty, abundance, freedom, fulfillment, bliss, ecstasy on the side of fulfillment and oneness. And over here, fear and grief and sadness and anger and pain and all that. So that's all we're going for, is a feeling. But we've been hypnotized, as we talked about in the beginning, to believe that we have to purchase the feeling through some condition. So I can only feel like, the reason I want that show and I want to be that star, if I'm honest with myself, if you go through the process, you'll see it's a feeling. It's a state of joy and aliveness and power and confidence and just that feeling of being fully expressed and fully alive. And it's so juicy. That's really why you want the thing, in your own words, right? That's really what's going with. But here's the great news: you've already got all of that.
Yeah.
And the purpose of the outer goal is not to add anything. It's to create the conditions so that more of that gets broken open and starts to shine. That's the only purpose of having the show. The show won't add anything. The pursuit and the project, and this is for anybody, whatever it is, the money, the family, the relationship, the job, the whatever, there's a dimension of your being that's trying to break open and express. It's a feeling, it's a frequency, it's an aliveness. And so the key is, go for the real gold, not the fool's gold. As Jesus said, stop taking thought for all those things out there and instead seek first the kingdom of heaven within, which is, again, the same thing. Connect with that joy and that juice and that power and that bliss, and activate that every day and pour that into your life wherever you are, while you're also doing whatever you want to do to creatively express your vision. And what'll happen is you'll be feeling the joy and the bliss and the confidence and the poise even before it gets clothed in the form that you think it should. And then it won't matter if it does, because you're there, you're living it, you're in heaven. And then, because consciousness always must clothe itself in form, if you're really living it, it must take form as an evolved state of manifestation.
Woo! Derek Rydall, oh my heavens, author, best-selling author of Emergence and the Abundance Project, 40 Days to More Wealth, Health, Love, and Happiness. I'm so remembering you on stage doing Welcome Home Soldier. That was the first
That's
time I met
hilarious.
you, way
That's
back there at Playhouse West. You were so good.
oh
And
my
you
God.
are such the poster child for emergence, because you have always been this guy that, what, 30 years ago or
Wow.
more, 30 plus years ago, you
That's
haven't changed
crazy.
one bit. You're just
I was
more
only, I
you.
was -5.
Exactly. Can you believe that? Me too. That's so weird that we zygotes were just
We were
like
like
bopping
zygotes
around on the
hanging
stage.
out, right?
So you have a couple of things to offer my audience.
Sure.
So tell us about these things.
Yeah, and what I wanted to do is
Yes.
so that they could choose,
Yes.
send them to the page where I'm giving away, these various free trainings, which will support them in what we're talking about, basically. And that is the how to turn your problems into your legendary purpose is one of them, which is a process about discovering that your life's work and your deepest purpose is encoded in your life story. That, as I like to say to people that are, want to be healers, coaches, teachers, the workshop you've been living is the one you're meant to be giving, right? And so
Mm.
in encoded in your journey is everything that you need to know, everything that you were designed to be, and your whole life has been conspiring, like we talked about earlier. Again, what you thought was betrayal and abandonment and abuse and loss was really all part of the natural process to develop in you and through and as you, the individual you're meant to be. The deeper the roots, the richer the fruits. And so that's that particular thing, the thought leader process and the change maker process. And that's a free training, pretty in-depth training on how to turn your pain and your problems into your legendary purpose. So that's there on that page for them. Then there's also the self-mastery process. And as you get into that, you'll also get access to this whole character of success process, which is what we're talking about, where you think you want this life of health, wealth, love, success, all those beautiful things. But I show you how to reverse engineer that and discover what it is you're really after and how to get that real gold and build your life from there. So they're going to get access to that too. And then there's a variety of other things, but that's enough for now. That'll get them started. But they'll get access to all those free trainings and more surprise tools and bonuses along the way.
Oh my God. So all of this will be in the show notes, these links. Derek Rydall, you are truly a cornucopia. You are the acorn that has cracked open into quite an incredible oak tree. And I so appreciate you. I appreciate all of the work you've done and all the joy that you are and all that you've survived that has brought you here, all the
We didn't even talk
crises.
about the crises, but
I know
it is
we'll
true.
have
A
to have you
crisis is a
back.
terrible thing to waste. It's
Thank
also
you.
a terrible thing to go through, but it's ultimately,
It's so true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have to have you back. I want to have you back again soon because we could talk for hours and there's more and maybe focusing more on the abundance project on the
Yes.
next one. Today was
All
more
right.
emergence
And
oriented.
it's
So we don't need an
important now.
emergency. Get
Exactly.
emerged.
Emerge and see. Don't wait. When you feel that urgency of emergence, don't wait for it to become an emergency. Instead,
Woo!
emerge and see. All right.
Oh,
But let's see how many different puns we can make up from this.
oh my God, we are cut from the same punny cloth. Derek
Yeah.
Rydall, I love you so much.
Love you too, my
And
friend.
I can't wait to talk to you again very soon, my brother. You are a blessing. Thank you from the bottom of my corny soul.
Your little corny soul. All right.
Thank you for listening to the Kelly Sullivan Walden Show. If you enjoyed this episode, take a moment to like, subscribe, comment, and share it with your friends. My show can be found on Apple iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to order my new book, A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste, go to your favorite online or brick and mortar retailer, then head on over to kellysullivanwalden.com, tragic to magic. Input your order number and redeem your bonus gifts. I'm also excited to be offering a DreamWork practitioner training. So if that calls to you, go to kellysullivanwalden.com/DreamWork. If you'd like to join me for the live recording of these shows, most Wednesdays at noon Pacific, you can find me on Facebook at Kelly Sullivan Walden Dreams. If you have a question about your dreams or about how to transform your tragic into magic, email me at kelly@kellysullivanwalden.com. Until next time, remember, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. And as you awaken to the power of your dreams, you make the world a lighter, brighter, more beautiful place, one dream at a time. Sweet dreams.